Hi, welcome to the Clean and Sober Stoner. And by the way, shout out to Dope Scum, Cody from the Boys. They're one of my top albums from last year. If you want, you can check my top albums of 2023 if you want, or I'll put a link to the thing. Anyway, I want to make sure I'm shouting out the bands whose t shirts I'm wearing. Really appreciate it. And love you guys. And hopefully, I'll talk to you again. Anyway, welcome to my first ever video presentation of my top 10 Stoner Doom albums for February of 2024. I've been a member of the Doom charts for a little bit over a year, and it's been an amazing ride. If you don't know about the Doom charts, stay tuned to this channel, subscribe, because I might be doing more stuff on Doom charts a little bit later. Anyway, February's been a crazy month for me. In case I haven't mentioned it 1,000 times yet, I started working for Bass Gear magazine. So I've been mostly behind the scenes doing things, editing, posting, doing the Instagram thing, social media thing. Love working for them. It's definitely a dream come true. It's like Doom Charts and Bass Gear magazine, those two together. It's like chocolate and peanut butter. It's like Reese's. So my life's good, but it's very, very full. But that being said, I figure it's time for me to start doing the video stuff for Stoner Doom because we have a story to tell. And right now, for this month, this is part of the story. So let me not banter anymore. Let me start right into it. Coming in at a whopping number 10, and I forgot to mention this. You last year at this time, I was listening to about 100. I figured out it's about 110 albums a month. I've been like way too busy. So here's the disclaimer: I missed a lot of stuff, but that's why we have the Doom charts with all the reviewers, all the labels, all the bloggers, all the people that are involved in the heavy underground who rate albums every month. And then around the time this publishes, there's going to be a list from the Doom charts. So yeah, I didn't catch everything. So I'm not saying these are the 10 best. So no, they're the 10 best that I listen to. And the other thing is, each one of these is so damn good, they could be number one. My 10th number one album for February is Samsara Joyride, The Subtle and the Dense. I gotta be honest, this is the first time around for me hearing this band. And right away, it starts out. This is truly pure blues based heavy psych. They've got great production. They're heavy. I think the best way to put it is they're not heavy just for heaviness sake. They're not trying to pummel you over the head at every moment. When they get heavy, it's to make the song better. It's solid. They have a real focus on what they're doing, and they have groove for days. This is definitely for fans of hard rock done right, especially us little boomers and our GXs who are going, music today. No, no, no. Give Samsara Joyride a listen. I think you'll find out you've been missing out on a lot of really good stuff. I think the best song to start out with is I Won't Sign Part 1. It's the first song from the album, and I think it does a great job of introducing you to the album. And it honestly, it kind of just gets better, as the album goes along. Total swagger, total badassery. So, Samsara Joyride, The Subtle and the Dense. Coming in at my ninth number one album for February is Spectral Voices album Sparagmos. Now I feel like Bobby from Inherent, where in my mind I think I know how to pronounce these things, but when it comes to it, not so much. It might be the camera. I don't know, but Spectral Voice Sparagmos. Now this is epic funeral doom with more than just a touch of black and death metal. What I love about the band the most is they're doing tremolo picking, but the bass and the drums keep going at like 30 beats per minute. It is flipping awesome. The vocals are every bit as grating and intense as the guitars, while the bass and the drums plod along until it's time for a blast beat. This is Funeral Doom for people who don't know that they love Funeral Doom. I think by far the best song on the album to get a sense of what the whole thing is about is called Death's Knell Rings in Eternity. It's like everything the Spectral Voice does all at once. Highly recommend it. Spectral Voice, Sparagmos. I thought I had a problem pronouncing Sparagmos. Number 8. There are a lot of surprises this month, and this is definitely one of them. There were a lot of surprises this month, and this is definitely one of them. It's a band out of Brazil called Locomotiva Elétrica Os Animos que Nos Habitam. If I'm even close, I'll be glad. You know, what is better than heavy blues-based psychedelic music? Answer: more heavy blues-based psychedelic blues-based music. Except this time, they're bringing in tasty Hammond keyboards that are a little bit more Uriah Heep and Ken Hensley than they are John Lord with Deep Purple. Brazil and the whole South America is really killing it lately. This surprisingly is an instrumental album. It's an instrumental album of heavy psych with a good healthy dose of spice. And when I say the keyboards are like Ken Hensley, the sound of it and the intent of it is a little bit more like Uriah Heep. But man, this keyboard player flies. They've got a little bit of jazz. I think they have a little bit of salsa. They have a little bit of everything, but they never take their feet off the gas of heavy and psychedelic. The hot track for me on this one is Funeral. I love the name of it, and it's got a total jazzy, punky, rocking trip vibe to it. It is really a fantastic album, and that is Locomotiva Elétrica, Os Animos que Nos Habitam. My seventh number one album for February comes from a band called Dead Peach. And this time it's even more bluesy, heavy psych rock, which tends to be a theme. But this time they're coming from Italy and with a heavy dose of punk attitude and swagger. This is I think it's a bit of a relaunch for Dead Peach. They've been doing this kind of music longer than anybody. I think they've been in the heavy psych space longer than Color Haze. They've been at this since before Caius broke up. And that should tell you something. This is their "We're Still Here, Bitches" moment with an absolute mic drop. My favorite song is a little bit on the mellow side. I posted it on my Instagram. The song's called Monday. I think Monday's a great song to listen to on Sunday because it makes Monday not feel so, bad. Coming in at number 6, and I do think people will be surprised that this is so low. But again, these are top 10 number one albums. But The Obsessed with Gilded Sorrow. And look, there's no single person in the heavy underground scene with a more consistent catalog than Wino. Okay? He's been with The Obsessed. He's been with St. Vitus. He did Shrine Builder. It's like he's this never-ending... Yeah, he's like the never-ending gobstopper of stoner doom. And honestly, it doesn't matter what band or what incarnation he's in. His DNA is all over it, and it's unmistakable. This is going to be the album of the year for a lot of people in the heavy underground, and I can't really argue that point. I think one of the reasons is Wino has really lofty expectations whenever he releases an album. And on this one, I felt like he just met expectations. It doesn't detract from it. This is from beginning to end an absolute banger, as people like to say nowadays. It's great. As far as a hot track for this one, all of them, not kidding. I can't pick a favorite song. Coming in at number 5 for me is Gravity Wells' Negative Space. If you you go to their Bandcamp page, you're going to see that they list their influences as Black Sabbath, Caius, Sleep, and Windhand. Well, I kind of expected a generic but solid album if you're going to name those bands as influences. The thing is, they didn't really tell us what part of Black Sabbath, Caius, Sleep, and Windhand they were influenced by. They Gravity Well seriously underpromised this album and totally overdelivered with an album of space age doom that I think is closer in spirit to Acid King than any band I've heard lately. It is an album of the year contender without a doubt. It's not going to surprise me at all if 3 months from now I'm like, that was actually number two. It's just that good an album, and every time I listen to it, it gets better and better and better. I think the hot track on this album is Delirium. It strikes me as a song that really it showcases everything that Gravity Well brings to the table, but they don't give the whole plot away. It's like the perfect trailer to a movie. It tells you just enough to make you want to watch the rest of the thing, and then your mind is blown by what else they bring to the table. So, Gravity Well, Negative Space. I think you're really going to want to put this one on your playlist and just let it roll. Number 4, Dead Runes. I think it's pronounced Rado. It could be Rido. I don't know. Our very own Gypsy, the new writer, the new YouTube person on this channel, is going to be doing an interview with them on Sunday. So I'll have to make sure I say, hey, ask them how to pronounce that name. So I'm really looking forward to that. Gypsy's premiere will be interviewing the band Dead Runes. What Dead Runes pulls off on this album is totally remarkable. This is not really straight ahead anything. They mix up the tempo, they mix up the tone, and they mix up the groove of this album while maintaining a total solid identity. It's equal parts doom, traditional metal, stoner with a slight progressive edge. I think it's an absolutely awesome album. And like Gravity Well, I think it just gets better after every listen. The song that I would pick as a hot track is Sea Tripper. It's worthy of being on consistent repeat on anybody's playlist. This is epic songwriting, it's epic craftsmanship, and it's fantastic production. This is an album you just can't go wrong with. Sundrifter, my number 3, number 1 album of February. And I have to be honest, if it wasn't for the other two, this would be number 1 with a freaking bullet. This is Sundrifters in Earlier Time. As much as February surprised me, this one surprised me even more. Uh, Limitless is the hot track for me. It announces the intentions of the album, and it just takes off from there. What I love about this is there's real guitar tone. You can hear the guitar going through an amp. The vocals are also world class, real. They're not. This is a band that's really confident. I feel like when they go into the studio, they don't need to reamp and reproduce and auto tune because they're really confident in what they're doing. And this is high praise. This sits along with Fairy Ring and Aura Layer for me from last year. It's just some of the best music that the current generation of bands has to offer. Sundrifter, highly, highly recommended. Absolutely my third number 1. Number 2 for this month is a band that honestly they're not stoner doom. I gotta be honest. I don't think anybody knows exactly what Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum is. This is their latest album of The Last Human Being. Full disclosure, I have been a fan of this band for years. I used to live in Northern California. They did a show at what's called the Whole Earth Festival in Davis, California. They were the headliner, and I got to watch them do their full parade on the stage. It was it was like a moment stuck in time of watching one of the most awesome performances of any band I've ever seen. They're kind of equal parts High Along, King Crimson, Motorhead. It's impossible to describe this band, and it's always very amusing when I read other people. That concert in particular is burned into my brain. I don't want to give too much away here, but I will tell you this. This legendary band, usually if a band comes back together after a few years, the album's kind of, okay, yay, I'm glad you're back. Not these guys. Of the Last Human Being, I think is the single best Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum, which is really hard to say with a straight face, but it is. The recording is in I really I put my Hi-Fi-Man Ananda headphones on, and it's like they're literally right there in the room with me. It's very naturally recorded with everything they have going on. Again, there is no hot track on this. This album was made to be inhaled all at once. You want to hold it in deeply and just let it take over. So, Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum of the Last Human Being. I'm actually going to be seeing them in about 3 weeks, and I'm really psyched to see them coming around. It'll be good to see Nils, and the whole band again. So, again, just get it, blow your mind. Number one, I can't Nista, and it could be pronounced Nishta because they're from Holland. This album withstood the awesomeness of the other albums. I'm just gonna tell you the reason that this album is number one, and as a reviewer, I try to keep it in the back of my mind that I can rate something as number one for an entire year. But if I don't listen to it again, I have to look back and go, why why was that number one? Which means my ratings, the way I do things, I have some criteria that I check off, but at the end of the day, it's emotional. This album connected with me like no album I've heard in the past. I don't know. I've had a lot of albums. To me, this is a life changing album. It has the same impact on me as Yob's The Great Cessation, Elders, Lore, and it sounds nothing like that. It's just this is a beautifully produced, beautifully rendered, expertly performed piece of art that I really think uh, the potential audience for this album is in the hundreds of thousands. It I yeah, love this album. So number one, and with 100% confidence that I will be going back to the four songs that make up this album time after time after time. It's a wonderful album. I really hope that everybody who's hearing even 10 seconds of this gives them a shot. Finds them on Spotify, on Tidal, what Apple Music, whatever you're listening to, or even better, buy the album. Anyway, that is my top 10 for February. I will, of course, have a written version of this here thing. Check the links below. I really look forward to Gypsy having her first YouTube interview for us on this channel. And rumor has it, I've got more material coming in from Blake Herrera from IWAS. He's with the team now. And Gypsy's debut, her premiere, should be coming up any day now. Thanks as always for tuning in. And this is Clean and Sober Stoner saying, dude,